So I'm walking up in the woods fairly close to my house, and there are lots of nettles on the go at the minute. I don't like to pick them too young, so these are just coming into flower and should do the job perfectly. Nettle fibres are really strong and even stronger when we make it into cordage or string. So to harvest the nettles, I use just a gardening secateurs, and I cut them right down at the base. And I always use gardening gloves when I'm harvesting them, just to prevent all the stings. Obviously, Mesolithic folks wouldn't have had gloves to wear like this, but I reckon they could have used something like a big dock leaf or a piece of animal skin, animal hide, just to protect their hands. Because the first thing we want to do is to strip all the leaves from the stem. So if I move the bunch of nettles out of the way, and I'll bring in, I have a couple of nettles here, and let you see. Now the tips of these nettles are great for nettle tea, making maybe like a little nettle soup, especially earlier on in the season. They're quite tasty. I also heard that another way of getting rid of the stings is just to waft the nettles over a fire, and you could then eat the leaves, and as you're doing that you would be stripping the stem. So I'm going to just break off the tip. It's just a little bit too weak for our purpose. And then I'm going to take off the leaves. So what I'm going to do is run my hand down the stem like this and take all the leaves off, so that you're left just with the stem. And I run my hand up and down a couple of times, and that gets rid of any of the little stingy hairs that's on the stem there. So, very basic tools. The first thing I want to do is to actually, you can do it by just using your thumbs and push in at these joints to just break them down a little bit. But I find that sometimes they're too hard and woody, so I use a flat stone and just a stick that I picked up in the woods. And I'm going to just gently, you don't want to be too brutal with it, tap my way up the stem, paying particular attention to the leaf joint. So whenever I come to a leaf joint, I just make sure that it gets an extra tap. So at this point, I'm actually going to take my gloves off. I find them, they get in my way. So if I take my thumbnail, and it's already starting to happen here, I want to split the nettle. And you can see it makes it easier at the joints if I've given it a little tap. So all the way up, I'm going to just use my thumbnail to open up this nettle. What we're actually looking for is the fibres on the outside of the nettle. So if I open this up, you'll see there's actually a woody part in the centre, and we want to get rid of the woody part, which is actually going to leave the fibres. So I'm going to go about halfway along the nettle and fold it in half, give it a little wiggle, and the woody part comes away. It comes away very easily. So I just, there we go, break it, and then let it run through your hands, freeing up that woody piece there. So this is the piece I'm going to get rid of, and these are the fibres that we're going to work with today. So let's do the other half. It's actually a very satisfying job doing this. And what I would do is I would prepare all my nettles like this, and then I would make the cord. Just as an interesting aside, this is great for tying up your plants in your garden. and obviously it'll just break down and disappear when you don't need it. So it's a lovely natural tie, and it really is very strong. So if you need ties in the garden, perfect colour, fits in with your plants, this is ideal. But there we go, we've got the fibre from the nettle. So if I move these out of the way, what I've actually got here on the table is I've got some fibre that I stripped just maybe 10 minutes ago, and it's already beginning to dry out. And I've also got a bundle of really dry fibre. Now normally when I'm making cordage, I would prefer to actually use the very dry fibre, and I would dampen it slightly just to make it pliable. If you have a look, you can see how much it shrinks. And if you made cord with this juicy new nettle, then what you would find is overnight it would dry and it would become very springy. Your string would be very springy and not so strong. Whereas if you let a lot of the moisture dry out, just dampen it slightly to make it pliable, you get a much better cord or string that way. Today I'm going to demonstrate just using the fresh nettles. But just be aware that it is a good idea, and I would have thought that folks maybe did prepare all their nettles like this and then sit with the dried nettles and work with them. So I'm going to, because this is quite wide, this was quite a big nettle, I'm just going to take some of the fibre. I don't need the whole lot. So again, thumbnail, and we'll start off with this. I'll pull some of this away. Now none of this is wasted. This is all going to be twisted into the cord. And when I start twisting the cord, I tend to find a point that's about 2/3 of the way along. And the reason for that will become apparent as I go on, because when you want to join your new nettle fibre, then you don't want to join at the same time on both ends. So I've come down about 1/3 of the way, and I'm going to make a twist. So I'm twisting with my right hand, and I'm twisting clockwise. And I'm also going anti-clockwise with my left hand. So right hand is going clockwise, left hand is coming anti-clockwise. And that action is going to give you a really tight twist, and eventually it'll want to twist round onto itself. So it just does that naturally. If I take that back out and let you see again. So twist clockwise and twist anti-clockwise. Really tight, and then it'll twist onto itself. And once you've got that, that's the start of your nettle cordage. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to twist with my right hand piece and then fold it over the left hand piece. So it's twisting clockwise and then apply it anti-clockwise. Twist clockwise, apply it anti-clockwise, and you can begin to see the little piece of cordage forming there. So twisting clockwise. Now there's several ways of doing this, and you'll see some folk roll the fibres on their knee and then twist with their left hand. When I'm teaching this, I quite often get somebody else to hold this end, because it's often handier if you've got somebody giving a little bit of pressure here. Or I've even used a split stick, pop this into the split stick, and what you would do there, so this would be in the stick. Again, you would be twisting to clockwise, and then you go anti-clockwise. So twist clockwise, twist anti-clockwise, and so you keep going. And you can actually get quite a speed up depending on how much fibre you've got to begin with. You can either have a much thicker string, finer string, and obviously you would be making the string to suit your purpose. Just bear in mind that this will shrink if you make this in the green. One of the ways that I've found that does help if you make your cordage in the green is to wrap it tightly round some wood while it's drying so that it holds its shape better. Now, we're coming to a point here where this is getting a little bit short, and I'm going to show you in just a second how we're going to add on the new fibre. And it's a very straightforward process. So we're going to take another piece of the fibre that's lying on the table. I'll just do another couple of twists here. So twist clockwise, come round anti-clockwise, and you can see the little cord forming there. And then if I get myself a piece that I can actually fit in, now here we go. And what I want to do is to join when the piece that I want is ready to twist. So let's just go back. I want to twist, come round, twist and round. Now this one would be the one I was going to twist just now, and I'm going to join at the same time. So I'm almost at the end of this piece of fibre, and I'm going to pop it in behind my work, and then I'm going to twist it in and over to the left. Now that little piece from the top of the new piece of fibre, I'm also going to twist to the other side, and that gives you a much stronger join than if you just join on the one side. So if you join and then join the second, add it on to the second side as well, it gives you a much stronger join. And then off you go again, you just continue. You feel the thickness of the cord in your hand, so if it's starting to get too thin, just add some new fibre into it. And you just keep going. You can stop. You don't need to tie any knots. It won't come undone because of this plying process. You can leave it like that, and then you can come back to it later. And like I say, I normally would use the nettles dry, but if you're using them like this, just tie it up around something quite firmly. If I show you, wrap it round and hold it like that. So wrap it round for however long your cord is and leave it to dry like that. Then you're not going to get quite so much shrinkage. But that's how to make nettle cord. And you can go on and experiment in exactly the same way with lots of different materials. So I've used different grasses. I've used some reeds and some rushes. Bulrush works as well, even dandelion stems. So once you've got this technique, experiment with making cord with whatever fibres you can lay your hands on.